The Senate will come to order. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made for special orders for immediate consideration. Members, the 3 bills on the sheet is on your desk.
The first bill up for consideration is number 53 on general orders, Senate File 524, Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate File 524 has to do with Rural Event Centers building code modifications. We've named this bill the Wedding Barn Bill because it's a lot easier to say Wedding Barn Bill than the Rural Event Centers. What happened? This issue came to me a couple of years ago. I have a wedding barn in my district, and Redeemed Farms and the owners, Jeff and Julie, came to me and said that they have started to get notices requiring them to install an elaborate sprinkler system in this wedding barn. They had just remodeled an older barn and built another one, and they had followed all of their local building code official requirements, and they were also granted their occupancy permits. But then all of a sudden, something changed. And they couldn't figure out why they were required to put this in when they actually trusted their local officials when it came to the codes during construction, and now to have to put in this elaborate sprinkler system. So they called me up and they formed the MNREVA, Minnesota Rural Event Centers Association. More than 180, this is sort of a new industry, wedding barns, and there are more than 180 of them in the state, all across the state, and mostly in rural areas. And all of them were given a classification code of A3, which means they're a community hall because they have an occupancy of 300 or less, and because they do not have food preparation on the site. But then again, 2 years ago, they all started getting notices to put in these elaborate sprinkler systems. So what this bill does, it clarifies that if you are a rural event center or a wedding barn and you have under 300 occupants and you do not have food prep on your site, you will continue to be classified as an A3. So that's pretty much what the bill does, Mr. President. And I ask for a green vote because these. One second, I forgot one thing. These wedding barns are so important to our communities. They bring in guests and visitors from all over the country to stay in their hotels, eat at their local restaurants, use their gas stations. There's wedding photographers, there's florists, there's caterers. Bring in over $3 million to each one of these little communities each wedding season. So again, members, Senate File 524, the Wedding Barn Bill, I'm asking for a green vote. Thanks.
Discussion on Senate File 524. The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File number 524, Bill for an Act relating to the State Building Code.
Third reading. Any final discussion on Senate File 524? We're on final passage of Senate File 524. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Along with members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in rooms 323 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 323 and 206. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes aye.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes aye.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Klein votes aye.
Klein votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes aye.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howe votes aye.
Howe votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Osmic votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report a yes vote for Senator Bach.
Bach votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 72 on general orders, Senate File 1470. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, today we have up Senate File 1470. It's a bill. First off, I'd like to thank our Housing Committee members that helped with all our housing bills this year. Senator Rosen, Senator Dames, Senator Duckworth, myself, Senator Rest, Senator Port, and Senator Dietzick. We had a lot of great discussion, and one thing that we spent a lot of time on was the eviction moratorium and lease termination, and what that meant to the state, and what could we do to help. And part of it is we were blessed with a large sum of money to come help tenants that were in trouble. How do we encourage them to apply for a program that helps them out as a tenant and helps the landlord be able to pay property taxes and their mortgage? And we worked and debated and came up with the A9 amendment. And the A9 amendment has some things in it that I think are really good. And there's some things in there that I don't like as much. And I think Senator Dietzick and Senator Port would agree with me that there's parts in the bill that they don't like, but there's other parts they really do like. So I think that's a sign of a good bill, members. So with that, I would like to offer the A9 amendment.
Senator Draheim offers the A9 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Draheim moves to amend Senate File number 1470 as follows. Delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A9 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Draheim.
Thank you, President Miller. So, members, what we have here is an off-ramp to the eviction moratorium. And just for a little background, for those of you who are not on the Housing Committee and really don't play in this field, there is a federal eviction moratorium in place right now. A federal eviction moratorium in place for people making up to $99,000 a year. $99,000 a year and less, you would qualify for the federal eviction moratorium protection that it offers. Our bill here tries to have a step-down approach to an off-ramp. 30 days after it would be signed into law, the first phase, you could begin, after 30 days, the eviction process for people more or less that are the bad apples, the ones that broke the lease other than non-payment. 60 days after, you would go to the people that breached the lease but didn't qualify for the state program. Part of that almost $400 million that we received in Minnesota to help tenants that couldn't pay their lease. $400 million. And then the third phase would be to start the eviction process or the lease termination after 90 days. There is protection at the end of the bill for people that are working through the process. We have help out there for tenants, people. We have almost $400 million. Every single one of us, all 67 senators, should be bringing back to their districts and encouraging people to apply for help if they need it. So if they have applied for help and they qualify, they cannot be evicted up till June of 2022. So members, I think it's a good bill. I think it's a good compromise. And I really appreciate Senator Dietzick and Port and Duckworth, who spent many hours working on it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on the A9 amendment. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by also thanking Senator Draheim for creating a work group in our housing group that has worked on this eviction moratorium phase out and how we would make sure that people are protected moving forward as we are. There's no clear end to the pandemic. There is going to be no easy way to get things back to normal. And so it's important that we're having these conversations about putting a system in place. And I really do appreciate the work that the Housing Committee has been able to do on this. I think it has been really good conversations. That said, as predicted by Senator Draheim, obviously the A9 is not perfect and to our liking. And so I would like to offer the A50 amendment, A50.
Senator Port, I'm being told that the A50 is not drafted to the amendment. It's drafted as it's not drafted as an amendment to the amendment. It's drafted just as a standalone amendment. Is your intent to do it as an amendment to the amendment?
It was, yes. I'll withdraw for now. We'll bring it later.
Okay. The amendment is withdrawn. Any other discussion on the A9 amendment? Members were on the A9 amendment. I'm being told that we have the green light to vote on this amendment and that Senator Port will offer her amendment as a standalone amendment. just so everyone's on the same page. So we're on the A9 amendment. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. We will pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. How many do we need? How many yeses do we need? What's that put us at before we do the chamber? Right now. Okay. Members in the chamber that are voting yes on the A9 amendment, please stand at your desk. If you're a yes vote on the A9 amendment. So that's a sufficient. All right, members, you may be seated. That puts us at 34, over 30, correct? 29, okay. Members in the chamber, if you're a no on the A9 amendment, please stand at your desk. Members, you may be seated.
Mr. President, I don't know if I was voted. I was not in a room, and so I was upstairs, so I would be a yes if I'm not been counted. Thank you.
Senator Abler is a yes. So we have to get both. How many we need? We need 3, right? We got 32. We will go to Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. We don't need names, we just need a specific number of aye votes and no votes. And members, we're currently at 32 aye votes. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a minimum of 3 aye votes.
Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the A9 amendment, the motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. All right, members, we are on Senate File 1470 as amended. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I would like to offer the A50 amendment to the bill as amended.
Senator Port offers the A50 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Port moves to amend Senate File number 1470 as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A50 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. This keeps in place really the core principles of this, the 30 days and 60 days timelines that Senator Draheim laid out. What it does add is 7-day notice required for all evictions, and also would make the effective date the date following the expiration of Executive Order 2079, at whatever point that is.
Discussion on the A, Senator Port?
And I would like a roll call, please.
Roll call has been requested. Roll call will be granted. Discussion on the A50 amendment. Senator Dietzick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support the A50 amendment, Senator Port's amendment. We worked hard. We had a subgroup with Senator Draheim, Senator Duckworth, Senator Port, and myself. We worked really hard to find some compromise. As Senator Draheim said, with his A9 amendment, we have concerns. And so I don't believe he is surprised by this amendment. It just points out what some of our concerns are, that we are concerned that we don't really want all governor's powers in the future to be ended. We don't want them, we want the governor to have that ability, because in certain circumstances when there are health reasons, he should be able to do another eviction order. And we also believe notice. People procrastinate. There's federal money coming. There's federal money coming to the state. Everybody should be able to get money and stay in their apartment. I don't remember if Senator Draheim mentioned, but if you are behind on your rent, go to www.renthelpmn.org or call Minnesota Housing and Finance, because there is federal money coming to this state, and people should apply. Landlords and tenants need to work together and apply, because there is enough money that nobody should be evicted. So part of that notice is to give people notice, to say, hey, make sure you go get that assistance. There's money here. You don't need to be evicted. And so, again, people procrastinate. The notice just gives them another little push. So with that, I ask for your support for this amendment.
Further discussion on the A50 amendment. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the amendment, but I'm going to have to encourage a no vote on it. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the A50 amendment? Seeing none, we're voting on the A50 amendment. A roll call has been requested. The Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room and the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Retiring room and President's office. Members in rooms 323 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 323 and 206. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes no.
Champion votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes no.
Dibble votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes no.
Eaton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes no.
Eakin votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes no.
Fateh votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes yes.
Isaacson votes yes. Senator Frentz.
Senator Klein votes yes.
Klein votes yes. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes yes.
Latz votes yes. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes no.
Marty votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes yes.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes no.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes yes.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Eichhorn votes no.
Eichhorn votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Coleman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howe votes no.
Howe votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmic votes no.
Osmic votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes no.
Newman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Duckworth votes no.
Duckworth votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senjum votes no. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes no.
Rosen votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 22 ayes and 44 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted. Further discussion on Senate File 1470 as amended. The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 1470, a bill for an act relating to emergency powers.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a couple of words about this bill. And I think the best way for me to do this is to apologize. I want to say sorry to the people of Minnesota. We're not 24 hours out from another murder of a man of color on the part of our law enforcement in Minnesota. Our state is reeling. Law enforcement's reeling. Our communities are reeling. We're wondering, what is next? How are we going to deal with this trauma, this pain? What is the answer? How are we going to move forward together with this happening over and over again? And now here we are in the Senate of the state of Minnesota. Not 24 hours has passed, and we are talking about how to end the moratorium on evictions. I mean, it's just unconscionable. It's unconscionable that this is where the head of the state of Minnesota Senate is right now. People are looking for help. And we're talking about how to expedite and move forward on how people would be evicted from their homes. We know federal relief is on the way, but that will take months. A great deal of federal relief, actually. Millions of dollars to help people stay in their homes. But it will take months for that money to be dispersed. And we're going to move forward today, of all days, on saying, you know what, I think it's time for you to move out. I think it's time to move on. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. Not everyone has been vaccinated. Mr. President, this is just unconscionable that we're considering a bill like this today, of all days. I encourage my colleagues to vote no in care for the people of Minnesota, in care for renters of Minnesota, and to make sure that people continue to have a roof over their head while we are still in an emergency. Thank you.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 1470. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, President Miller. Just some clarification, members. The limitation of powers only applies to 504B. That's it. We're not talking about the whole state or any other emergency powers other than 504B. The support, the money is here. 30-some states are up and running, handing out money to those tenants that need the help. And I think that is one of the goals of this bill, is to get people to apply for the help. The longer we keep the eviction moratorium going without an off-ramp, the more we hurt people. And we need this off-ramp to encourage people to apply for the help that is sitting here. I would hope that we will see that website up and running this week so we can get the help to the tenants. So 32 other states are already up and running. We hope that Minnesota will be up and running this week. And once again, limitation of powers only applies to 504B. That's it. And it brings the legislative body back into the discussion.
Final discussion on Senate File 1470. Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I think I mentioned before, the bill as amended isn't perfect. I think Senator Draheim would agree with me. But we tried to find middle ground. That conference subcommittee group of Senator Port, Senator Draheim, Senator Duckworth, and myself, again, we tried to weave that path because we need a path going forward so that we don't overwhelm the courts. We need a path going forward to make sure people get that rental assistance. We have a lot of money coming to the state from the feds. So again, I'm going to encourage people, go to www.renthelpmn.org or call United Way for Help, 211. That can give you information on they can give you the information on what documents you need to work with. The landlords and tenants need to work together to get that application in so people aren't evicted. A lot of people, that money should help renters with back rent and possibly utility payments. But if you also owe utility bills, the cold weather rule, I don't know if we extended it or not, but the end usually is around April 15th. So if you owe back money on your electric bill or your heat bill, call United Way for help. There's federal dollars coming to help with heating bills, electrical bills. Or Google minnesotacommerce.com. I think it's minnesota.gov/commerce. Because there's money here to help. We want people to stay in their apartments. We want people to stay in their homes. This amendment to this bill, again, it's not perfect, but it moves us down the path. It helps clarify when an eviction can occur. And under the current orders right now, under the governor's emergency powers and eviction order, right now there can be certain evictions, but nobody knows when that is. And so I've had constituents call, and I've had landlords call saying, there's a domestic abuse situation in my duplex. Why can't that person be evicted? Why does the victim of the domestic abuse have to leave? The landlords don't know what to do. The courts don't know what to do. So this helps clarify some of that. I had a tenant call, lives in a fourplex. It's a non-smoking fourplex. The lease says it's non-smoking. The tenant called to say, since the pandemic started, one of their neighbors has been smoking nonstop. The smoke seeps through, the secondhand smoke seeps through into their apartment. As a person with allergies, I understand that's not good. So they want to know, what can they do? Why did they have to leave? They want clarity. Well, so this clarifies that in domestic abuse situations in certain criminal activities, such as prostitution, gun violence, and when you seriously endanger the safety of others, people can be evicted. We all know secondhand smoke endangers the safety of others, but that person doesn't know what to do. That landlord doesn't know what to do. This bill will help clarify. It'll help move us along so that there is clarity. None of us want to see anybody evicted, especially if you lost your job and you can't pay rent. So again, I'll sound like a broken record. Call United Way for Help, 211, and get that rental assistance. That is so important because there is money coming. We don't usually have this much federal dollars coming, so we want people to take advantage of it. Again, this bill isn't perfect, but we need an off-ramp. We need to make it smooth so that if we don't have an off-ramp, whenever the emergency powers ends, the eviction moratorium ends, and then what do people do? If they haven't gone and got that assistance, they can be evicted. The courts are going to be overwhelmed. We need a smooth process. This isn't perfect, but hopefully we will then go to conference committee and we'll have some discussion and we'll move that path forward so that is a smooth transition. People get the help they need and they can stay in their apartments. So with that, Mr. President, I want to thank everybody that on the Housing Committee that we had these discussions. I want to thank the Tenants Association, the multi-housing. I want to thank Legal Aid. I want to thank Homeline for their discussion. I want to thank Minnesota Housing Partnership. We had a lot of people that chimed in and have offered advice on what is happening, and we need an off-ramp. We need a slow, orderly off-ramp. And so thank you, Mr. President.
Final discussion on Senate File 1470. We have Senator Port followed by Senator Pratt. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, as we're talking about the end to an eviction moratorium, I think it's important that we remember that the pandemic is not over and the recovery is certainly not over. We cannot move too quickly and we have to build a process. We have to build a process in here. A cliff where just one-day evictions are all allowed again would be catastrophic. It would overwhelm the courts, and it would evict people who are qualified for assistance, which, again, to echo Senator Dietzich, please go to renthelpmn.org. There is almost $500 million in federal funds available for rental assistance. Please apply. If you are behind on your rent, you need assistance, or if you are a landlord who has tenants who are behind on rent, you can also apply on behalf of them. So this bill is not perfect, as you've heard many times, but it's a step in a continued conversation, and I think that is the important piece. The legislature should be playing an active role in building this process, and this is a step in us continuing to have that conversation both here in the Senate and also with the other chamber. We need to get that $500 million in rental assistance out to the folks who need it. And this builds a process. This is a step towards building the process where we will hopefully be able to come to an agreement to make sure that we are protecting folks who qualify for assistance, building a path for them to access it, and making sure that we are supporting our landlords and tenants and building a path to come out of this pandemic. Thank you again to the Housing Committee. I think we've worked really hard on this, and I'm hopeful for the continued conversation.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Draheim, Senators Dietzich and Port for working on this and bringing us a bipartisan solution. That's what we should be doing. The governor challenged us back in January to work on a ramp down for the eviction moratorium. That's what we have in front of us. And when we have an eviction moratorium wind down, let's not forget that there are notices and steps along the way before an eviction can occur. As Senator Port said, there would be a court case that would be heard before anybody were evicted from their premises. So there are already protections in existing law that Senator Draheim has recognized, but he's also recognized, as Senator Port said, not to drop this thing on day one, but to have a phased-in approach over time. And I think that's the right way to address this. And I will say that I appreciate Senator Draheim's modifying the Emergency Powers Act, because the governor's executive order was not clear. The governor's executive order was not balanced. And I'll give you a perfect example. I have a constituent, and I appreciate Senator Draheim's help with this. I have a constituent whose renter has not had their economic circumstances change at all. This person has not paid rent since April. They're trying to move a family member in. They can't do it. They've gone to court, and the court has ruled that the governor's executive order, despite breaking portions of the lease, do not rise to the level that they believe the governor intended. And so this, I think, as Senator Port just said and Senator Jasinski just said, adds necessary clarity to a flawed executive order. And so I appreciate the work that all the senators have done on this. Members, I'm going to vote in favor of this bill, and I hope the governor signs it, because this is what he asked for, and this is what we need to do. And for those Minnesotans that need help, I want to echo the call to seek out that renter's assistance, because if you are not seeking out that assistance, if you are not working with your landlord, and I'll tell you, the landlords I know are more than willing to work with their tenants that are in economic stress. Do it. Please do it and get the protection that's in this law, because that's what's expected of you. It's both a responsibility on the landlords and the tenants to make this work. And so I want to thank Senator Draheim for bringing a balanced bill, and I want to encourage members to vote in favor of Senate File 1470.
Final discussion on Senate File 1470. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, President Miller. I just wanted to thank everybody that worked on this, the staff, the stakeholders, the working group, the Housing Committee. You know, like I said in the opening remarks, that there's parts of the bill I really like. I think we did a good job on, and there's other parts that I do have problems with, but that's part of compromise. You know, is moving forward, and I think the heart of the bill is in the right place, and it's to help people, encourage people to apply for that program that should be up and running this week, to get the help they need. And just think about it. If you haven't paid rent in the last year, how much money you will owe. They still owe that money, with the executive order or without the executive order. We have help available for people. They have to get out and apply for that help. And then on the flip side, property taxes are due in a month. The landlords have to pay property taxes. They have to pay their mortgage. So we need to help everybody involved here. The last thing we want are more housing units taken off the market and have less units available for people to rent. So thank you once again for all the people that helped on this bill. I encourage a green vote. Thank you.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 1470. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room and President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the retiring room and the President's office. Members in rooms 323 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 323 and 206. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes no.
Carlson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes no.
Champion votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes no.
Dibble votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes no.
Eaton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eken votes yes.
Eken votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes no.
Fateh votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes no.
Isaacson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Klein votes aye.
Klein votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes no.
Latz votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes no.
Marty votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes no.
Newton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes no.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes no.
Wickland votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report a yes vote for Senator Nelson.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howe votes aye.
Howe votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Osmic votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 46 ayes and 21 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 21 on General Orders, House File 820, Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the amendment made to House File 820 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted on April 7, 2021, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken.
On that motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion prevails. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now we're working on the House File 820. Those of you may remember a few years back, we did a bill that allowed military members and people with medical conditions to participate in local government meetings if they are not able to make it 3 times per year. This was done pre-COVID. We were ahead of our time. And now with COVID has taken place, our local governments still have issues now. So what this bill does is extend that period from January 1st of 2021 through July 1st of 2021, an unlimited amount to make sure that these folks can participate in our local government committee meetings. That was the bill. It was taken up in the House. The House added language, and that's why we're working off House File number 820. They changed that to verify that those members in the military or for medical reasons did not have to disclose their location. So that is the bill that's in front of us, but I do have an A3 amendment.
Senator Jasinski offers the A3 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Jasinski moves to amend House File number 820 as follows: page 1, delete section 1, and insert, this is the A3 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. The A3 amendment is mostly technical changes. It changes most words from interactive television to interactive technology, a few other grammatic changes, and then it also adds under lines 5.21 that adds a public comment period if to the extent practical. That is the bill. I look for your support and urge a green vote.
Discussion on the A3 amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor of the A3 say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I've passed out in front of you as a sheet that shows all stake owners agree with this. League of Minnesota Cities, Minnesota School Boards Association, Minnesota Association of Townships, and the Association of Minnesota Counties. I want to thank my co-authors, Senator Howe, Senator Curran, Senator Duckworth, and Senator Newman. And with that, I urge a green vote.
Further discussion on House File 820. The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File number 820, a bill for an act relating to open meeting law.
Third meeting. Final discussion on the bill. Senator Bigham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, if this isn't a bill after my own heart, I don't know what is. Go local governments. I appreciate that we are making some reforms and accessibility modifications here so that to deal with the pandemic, so that we are doing the real important work that local governments are able to do. I urge support of this bill. Appreciate it being brought forward. I would say that there is an expiration date in the bill, and I think instead of a Band-Aid approach to this, it would be good to have a very thorough discussion on allowing this to be, if there is a certain process for somebody to work within the confines of this new law, to expand it to allow it to be actually a permanent thing, because you know, if a woman was on bed rest being pregnant and was mayor of a local community, you know, this wouldn't, after the expiration date, isn't going to really be allowed, and people with disabilities would also maybe be a little bit more accessible for them to participate if it came down to it, with being able to do local government work if there was a need for that. So I think with technology, with Zoom, with all of that, it would be good for us to have a broader discussion about accessibility for local government, for state government. And I know that that's going to go next year, but move on to next year because we're already past deadlines. But it's just food for thought. I'd urge a green vote.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. And I do support House File 820, Senator Jasinski's bill on the floor today. But I do want to speak to matters in regards to being absent from a city council meeting where you can see all members together interacting, making decisions. There's value that comes from more than a flat screen. We've all experienced that. Zoom is great as an in-between measure, but it is absolutely absolutely no substitute for in-person communication, and to have that happening on a city council or county commissioner level is very important. There are times for exceptions, but let's not make the situation like it's all equivalent. It's not. Being in person, city council members being there together, and the full communication that they have is the best for the people that they serve and best for the members as well. In unique circumstances, as we have here, or even routinely having some of those happening occasionally as we allow in current statute. But I just want to speak up for the value, though, of in-person, full communication, body language, all of those things that come into play. And, but nonetheless, I encourage a yes vote for House File 820. Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, we're on final discussion for House File 820. Seeing no further discussion, we're on final passage of House File 820. The Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in rooms 323 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 323 and 206. I'll call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howe votes aye.
Howe votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes aye.
Osmick votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. Senator Frentz. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes aye.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes aye.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Klein votes aye.
Klein votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes aye.
Wickland votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Next, we'll move to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interest. Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session. Senator Nelson from 12:20 to 12:40 p.m. Announcements of Senate interest. Senator Hurd.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a troubling time in our history. Hate crime against Asian Americans are on the surge, and this is not acceptable, and let's prevent it from happening. The recent shooting in Georgia is one of the many tragic incidents in our country. So today I present Senate Resolution 48. It's on the ninth order of business, condemning acts of violence, racism, hate against Minnesotans of Asian descent. Because more senators have asked me wanting to be co-author of the bill, I made a couple copies as a concurrent resolution with the same language as Senate Resolution 48. So if anyone else interested to be co-author, please let me know. If we have, I don't mind making 16 copies to make sure everybody are signed on to the resolution. And if you allow me to summarize the resolution, it read as follows. Whereas America is not defined by race, ethnicity, social status, religious belief, partisan politics, class, or creed, America is a nation of immigrants and people of the First Nation. Our Constitution of We Are the People guarantees inalienable rights and equality for all under the law. Whereas dating back to the 1800s, a record number of Asians became Americans and Minnesotans, creating deep roots in our country. However, many still see Asian Americans as foreigners to our country. This is not acceptable and must change. Whereas Minnesota is known for welcoming victims of the Chinese Exclusion Act, resettling Japanese Americans after World War II, having high number of Korean adoptees, and becoming home to Hmong and other Southeast Asian refugees. Whereas from the first settlement of Asian Americans within Minnesota to now, there have been countless xenophobic incidents toward the community, and many go unreported. The recent hate crimes against Asian American community surged during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we must do something to address this unacceptable behavior. Be it further resolved, we must do our part in combating racism and hate crime against Asian Americans through our collective action in workplaces, schools, and public areas. Mr. President and members, these are the short excerpts from the whole resolution. The complete language of this resolution is described on the first version, which I mentioned earlier, Senate Resolution 48. And thank you, Mr. President, for also co-signing with me. This resolution is not merely to call for help or fear of being targeted by hate, but it's a resolution meant to educate, promote peace, and also to call our solidarity to prevent any hostile racial conflict from happening. And thank you all for your solidarity in condemning hate crimes against Asian Americans and racism. And we have a lot to do, Mr. President and member.
Further announcements of Senate interest. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Herr, I very much appreciate that you went to that effort, and of course we stand in solidarity with you. I would ask, Mr. President, that I for a short recess so that I can make an announcement. Is that correct?
Senator Johnson Stewart will ask members to stick around after adjournment, and then you can make your announcement. Any further announcements of Senate interest? Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move the Senate do now adjourn until Tuesday, April 13th at 12 noon.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate do now adjourn until Tuesday, April 13th at 12 noon. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion prevails. The Senate is adjourned. Senator Johnson Stewart for your message.
Thank you, Mr. President. My heart is heavy today. I am a mother of two, a stepmother of two, a grandmother of three, and a fellow mother in Minnesota lost her son yesterday. Katie Wright's son, Dante, was killed by police, and while we don't know the details, all of us mothers and all of us humans can understand her grief. I ask that this body acknowledge that grief and the grief of others in her community and for many others in Minnesota who are suffering. And I would ask for a moment of silence to acknowledge the loss of Dante Wright.
Members, please stand for a moment of silence.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, members. The Senate is adjourned.